Okay, abusuya NPP primaries eba bekoso on the 31st of January. Abusuya Musa Dankwah ede ehonsem aba betuda. Or the whole post aba Dr. Bawumia lead race na abusuya Kennedy Japan camp no akwa PPP ewo and Dr. Bawumia at the 57% and it is lead NPP 2026 presidential primaries. Musa Dankwah Ghana ha oyobia etese eba posa etese onim ye ankasa etese during 2024 general election or predicted to say NDC amanyuko no President Mahama ebe take lead in etese or the NDC aba power ampara no etese President Mahama FR win no CCR NDC for and ruling government into ene or the different and as another post about Dr. Bawumia lead race no with 57% and Kennedy Japan on also 28% and Brian Echampon so 13% into omugu etuwa is Dr. Bawumia as former vice president no olidi NPP race momi yanko na yankonko tie ensema Musa Dankwah ene eho ensema aba na unsubscribe ya subscribe like na share ma afofron so ensa into me enkabi gossip politics medamase.
That winning candidate, former Vice President Dr. Mahama Bawumia, the latest poll predicts he will lead his closest contender by nearly 30 percentage points and very high favorability among the over 10,000 respondents in the survey. 5 leading members of the party are vying to be the NPP's flag bearer 2 years ahead of the 2028 general elections. And according to this poll, that person most likely to win this race is the former vice president. Author of the poll, Musa Dankwah, and Executive Director of Global Info Analytics is joining us for a bit more on that. But before I go on to Musa, I want to show you some important aspects of this poll, like what you see on your TV right now. It says, who leads NPP in 2028? This says committed poll. Now, Musa is going to explain that to us. And you can tell that the former president goes up with 48%, followed by Kennedy Ohene Japan, former Asin Central MP, 25%. Dr. Brian Echampo follows with 6%. Dr. Yaduchum with 1%. And Kwabna Ejay Ejapong, former General Secretary of the party, with 0%. 21% of the respondents did not disclose who they think will lead the party in 2028. But there's more. There's more. The neighbor effect, Global Info Analytics calls it. With the neighbor effect, we see Dr. Mahama Bawumia shoot up to 62%. We see the same for his closest contender, Kennedy Ohene Japan, go to 32%. Dr. Brian Echampo drops 1 percentage point to 5%. We see Dr. Yaweduchu maintain 1%. Kwabna Ajepong at 0% as well. We understand all the dynamics that come with that. Let's see the next one. Here's the prediction, right? After putting all the metrics together, the Global Info Analytics is predicting that 57% will be what the winner would likely come out with. And that winner is Dr. Mahama Bawumia, followed by the 28% Kennedy Ohene Japan. We see Dr. Brian Echampo in the predictive poll itself jump to 13%. We see a marginal jump also for Dr. Yaduchum, 2%. Meanwhile, Kwabna Japan stays at 0%. Now, 0%, I want to know what that means. Well, let me bring in now Musa Dankwah, who is Executive Director for Global Info Analytics, to explain this poll. Musa, I appreciate your time this evening. But even before we get into the nitty-gritties of this, I want to understand the metrics here. We see neighbor effect, we see committed voter, and then we see the predictive poll itself. What do all these things mean?
Amani, thank you very much for having me. When we talk about committed voters, it simply means people who said they have decided, they know who to vote for. In a lot of the cases, they've given their names to us. In some cases, those names are being withheld. So that model shows that 48% of the delegates we spoke to have committed their vote and they are voting for Bawumia. And 25% of them are saying that they are voting for Canadian Japan. And then the 5% also saying that they are committing to voting for Brian, and 2% voting for Educhum. Now, you also mentioned the
neighbor effect.
Neighbor effect. This is a model that has been tested in the United States in the last few election cycles. Generally, people are willing to talk about how others are voting. But when it comes to what they are doing themselves, they tend to be a bit cagey. So here we ask them, who do they think that their fellow delegate friends will be voting for? On that score, you see that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia goes to 62%. So it means 62% of the delegate believe that their friends are voting for Bawumia. And 32% are voting for Kennedy, 5% for Brian, and 1% for Dr. Educhum.
Educhum, and is that having an impact on who they choose to vote for?
Yes, I mean, no, this one will not have impact on who they choose to vote for, but it may influence them. If they believe that most of their friends are voting for a candidate, if they want to be assisted to choose, they may go to where they believe people are voting.
I see. Then we look at the predictive poll itself, which you tell us has a margin of error minus or plus 3%, right?
Yes.
When we look at that poll, and you know, I want to draw that out quickly, or perhaps we could put it on a TV so that it would be easier for people to follow what I'm referring to. We see DMB at 57%, followed by 28%. How does this predictive poll itself differ from particularly the committed voter poll or metric?
Now, this model is based on the outcome of the committed model, in the sense that it uses the base number of 48, 20, the 28, I think 2032, that number, I'm now trying to remember it. And then use those who said, I am committed, but I'm not telling you. We have found a way to unearth who they might vote for. And it's the modeling effect is what has been used to do the predictions. When we apply that, then you could see that Kennedy drops about 4 points from where he was previously. And Brian Champon gains additional votes from that as a result of Ken losing grounds. Now, what is happening is that between Kennedy and Brian, they are exchanging votes. When Brian goes up, Ken comes down. And when Brian goes down, Ken goes up.
What could be responsible for that?
No, in fact, it's been like that for some time, but in the recent time, from last Tuesday, because we've been doing daily tracking poll, we've seen a ripple effect of maybe the backlash Ken has received on the viral video that went around from Tuesday on Bawumia's case. And I think that has really cost him some numbers. And those who were abandoning his ship are jumping onto Brian's ship at the moment.
I see. I'm going to come to you. We'll do some comparison. We know that from the survey you shared with us, Dr. Bawumia's win is not so different from, his predictive win is not so different from what you predicted some 3 days ago. But I'd like to know how it compares to 2023. I'll come back to you for that. But I'll bring in now Professor Smasapo, who is a political scientist and researcher himself. Prof, the outcome of this predictive model is consistent with your own assertions or predictions about the January 31st primary, correct?
Right, correct. Good evening to your good self, and good evening to my brother Musa and our cherished viewers.
I see. What do you think could be driving the numbers for the former vice president?
Okay, right. So what I tried to look at was to see who the delegates perceived as, number one, the most unifier, number two, the most suitable, the person with the characteristics to manage the office of the flag bearer and eventually, if they are fortunate, a president. And then the last one was the most popular. And then I tried to see overall who the delegates intend to vote for. But my main conclusions were to the effect that if I am a delegate and I see A as the most unifier, the same A as the most suitable for the position being, and then the same A being the most popular, the conclusion is that I am likely, or the person is likely to go that direction. So I have, for the most suitable, I have Dr. Bawumia 57.2, and then Honorable Ken Ejapon 31.9, Honorable Brian 7.5, Honorable Dr. Oseyewo Educhum 1.4, and then Honorable Kwabena Ejapon 0.7. The remaining were undecided, just few, about 1.5 undecided. So that is for who they perceive to be most suitable for the position. Then we have the most popular. Then that one too, we have Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia leading with 59.0, Honorable Ken 31.5, Honorable Brian Achampon appreciates to 6.2, and then we have Dr. Oseyewo Educhum 1.3, Honorable Kwabena Ejapon 1.3. And so that is on the most popular. On the most unifier, unfortunately, that place, Ken reduces a little from the 30 range to 24.0, and Brian increases to 16.8. And then it keeps Dr. Bawumia at 52.1, and then Dr. Oseyewo Educhum 1.3, and then Kwabena Ejapon 1.0. The remaining goes into undecided.
Prof,
So
Prof,
on these three accounts,
I want you to go over the most popular numbers again for me. I want to compare that with the Global Info Analytics poll as well. What are your numbers?
So for most popular, 59.0, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Then I have Honorable Ken Ejapon, 31.5. Then we have third place, Dr. Brian Achampon, Honorable, 6.2. Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, 1.3. Honorable Kwabena Ejapon, 1.3. And then the undecided goes to 0.7. So on the most popular, it appears the undecided are just few. They are all convinced that the order in which I mentioned is the order in which their candidates are quite, the popularity ratios are.
All right, so gentlemen, I want us to stay on popularity. And Musa, again, clarify for me if popularity here in Professor Smasapo's poll would mean favorability in yours.
Who's popular? They believe that if you are popular, you are more likely to be elected. So they will tend to vote that way.
So favorability, popularity, we are looking at the same thing, because I want to ask both of you, the same question. I want to be sure that we are all on the same page.
In our case, the formula is different from maybe what Smasapon has done. We ask them to tell us whether they see them favorably or unfavorably. And then what we do is that we add the favorability together and then subtract the unfavorability from it to have net rating for that favorability. So when you look at our data, Bawumia still is on 93% or so, and then Kennedy is on 85% when you do that calculation, and then Brian on 86. What you could see, I mean, for the first time is that Brian is seen more favorably than Kennedy in the eyes of the delegates.
And even more shocking for me is you can tell that all 5 candidates are favorably seen by your respondents and, you know, by translation, by party folk, right? But that favorability does not translate into whether or not the respondents think that they could actually win the election. For instance, Dr. Mahama Bawumia, favorability 93%, the highest in the pack. But on the predictive model itself, he's 57% for a win. You look at Kobne J. Japan, 85% favorability, the highest rating he's got in anything at all. You compare that to the predictive model itself, is 0% win for him or loss, depending on how you look at it, right? Why is that the case? Why are we not seeing...
Okay, it is the case because every single delegate is required to rate all the 5. Whereas in voting, you only choose 1. I can see you favorably, but I may not vote for you.
I see. So the problem there, well, not the problem, but the difference there was the requirement to choose all 5.
Yes.
Give
us your view about how you perceive them.
I see.
So we can see who is the best rated among them all.
Again, let's look at the qualities influencing candidates' choice. The ability to win, caring about the grassroots, bringing change, uniting the NPP, trustworthiness, humility. I got to see a few people on that humility bar. We'll come to that, right? Humility, other factors, and be a fighter. Professor Smasapon, how important are these indicators for a primary like this?
Well, very, very important. And if I measure suitability and I get the most suitable to be 57.2 in favor of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, then it encompasses what constitutes suitability. Ghanaians would see the person most emotionally stable or emotionally able to tolerate things, humble. You see the things that we appreciate as qualities of a good leader. When all those things come together, it makes the leader suitable for the position. And I think the detailed scale as used by Musa Dankwah perhaps can sum up to most suitable, because we are looking at characteristics that the persons may need. And trust me, here in this republic, those characteristics are very, very essential. And all who may seek to lead may want to deliberately exhibit those characteristics.
I see. Musa, I want us to wrap up now on this conversation. I did ask that, how does this compare to 2023? But also, how does it generally compare with approval of a candidate? Because there are those who have made the point, and Professor Smasapon, you chip into this for me as well. There's those who have made the point, while the former vice president may get the approval of the people, it appears to be one of the lowest approvals seen, at all. So, Musa, let's start with the numbers. How does it compare? Then Prof comes in for me.
If you take our predictions, which has Bawumia on 57%, that is about 4 points lower than what he got in 2023. So it's underperforming his 2023 numbers. Kennedy, on the other hand, got around 27% in 2023. Is now doing 28%, down about five points. We didn't have Brian Achampon in there. So we could see that Brian Achampon may be the beneficiary of all this confusion that we are seeing in the NPP race. He seems to be a breath of air, and he seems to have taken votes from Bawumia and taken votes from Kennedy from this model. But he appeared to have taken more from Kennedy at the moment than he did for Bawumia. And I have said this before, that at the end of the race, neither Bawumia could jubilate even if he wins, and Kennedy will not jubilate. The only person who may be jubilating on that day, even though he will not win, might be the Brian Achampon.
chip in for me in terms of the trends. Are people right when they talk about the approval of whoever becomes the eventual winner? In this case, the predictive models, both for you and Musa Dankwah, says that it is Dr. Mahama Bawumia. Should he be worried about the low approval?
Right. I think it's a contest of 5 ables and 5 virtually equally experienced people. And so I will not go for the margin. Yes, he may wish to get a wider margin, but I think around these predictions and whatever may come out as the actual should be enough validation of his candidature. And then his ability to unify all the rest and the entire party becomes the most important thing. So he shouldn't be worried about a certain gap that he intended to get. He could work more and see if he can expand beyond these predictions. But whatever the outcomes may be, the important thing is that you win, and you may have to immediately begin to unify your party, because it is one thing winning at your party level and another thing preparing to face the might of the NDC. So this will just be phase 1 of the events. The major one is preparations towards 2028, and I'm sure he is well mindful of that, and he would act the unity steps as immediate as possible, whoever becomes the eventual winner.
Prof, thank you so much for your time. Musa Dankwah, I appreciate you as well. Gentlemen, we'll end it here. Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
We'll now turn attention to other issues.
Okay, abusia we ne ensema ekoso ewo political highway so eye Musa Dankwah na echese ye tene nka eye NPP presidential primaries no eba bekoso a ochese Dr. Bawumia eteke lead no inti from ene to 31st abusia ye bisa se eye Kennedy Japan ebetumi aye wonders na echese waba be lead post na of course on the 31st no enye agrokra ye be keep more updates, any update on any political trending stories biano eye gossip politics so ena obenya no unsubscribe ya subscribe, like na share ma afofron so ensa into me enkabi eye gossip politics so medamase.